Hello and welcome to the Aid Station. I'm Chris Robb and delighted today to be traveling all the way to San Luis Potosí in Mexico, where I'm joined by Marta Morales, who's the Vice President of AIMS. Wonderful to see you again, Marta. It's been, well, 8-9 months since we caught up at the Chicago Marathon.
Yes, hi Chris. It's so good to see you again.
Wonderful to catch up, and thanks for making the time. I'd love you to start by just telling us a little bit about you, about the Marta story, and how you got to be involved in the mass participation industry.
Okay, I was born in San Luis Potosí, Mexico. My father is a marathon runner, so I am involved in running since I was born. My father used to organize races for his club. So I got involved in the organization since I am a little baby, because my first role was to put the pins on the bags for the packages of the runners. And since that, I began to grow up and I began to get involved in different areas of the organization. And I really love it. Then I realized that I would love to run a race, and I ran my first 10K when I was 11 years old. And then I decided, because I went in all the areas of the organization, and I wanted to live a marathon. And I ran my first marathon in 1998. So I tried to get in all the areas of the organization, and then I decided which was the best one. And I chose the finish area because it was so rewarding and so great to be in, to be the first person to put the medal in the neck of the runners. So I became the chief of the finish area. And also, in parallel, I am a lawyer. I have a master's degree in constitutional law. I litigate here in my hometown, and then I moved to Mexico City. I moved to Mexico City about 9 years ago, and I recently came to San Luis Potosí to live again. I got married 10 years ago, and now we are living here in San Luis with a different life and facing, since the first moment, the pandemic here in my town.
Well, it's wonderful background, and a couple of things stand out there. You, like me, lucky, your job's your passion, working in the running industry, and I wasn't quite a baby when I was putting safety pins in packets, but a similar background, and it's wonderful, isn't it? It's great, and to have that job that is the passion. And then, the opportunity maybe that this pandemic's created. You said it brought you back from Mexico City to San Luis Potosí, and you were saying before we started recording that you've been fundamentally in lockdown for 8 weeks. I'd love to hear a little bit about life for you on a day-to-day basis, please.
It's been very difficult. We have moved here some months ago. And before we came here, we rescued 2 dogs. So we began, the 4 of us, this is my family, we began the new life here, lockdown, so many times. So at the beginning, it was very difficult because would you try to do you wake up and you think that your life is going to be normal, and it's not. So you have to begin to be creative. And then you begin to live what is happening to your surroundings, to your community. But the most thing that shocked me, it was the thing that affect the industry of the running. What I most love in the world is to run. So seeing how this activity become something that is totally prohibited, and we cannot be close together with the others, and all those things affect a lot the things that I love, the things that I totally took for granted. So that affect me very much. Also, I feel that affect me my freedom. This is something that we think that we just wake up and you take it for granted, and then you see that you cannot go out. and even you are afraid to breathe outside. So the things that are happening personal into my life affects me in, for example, sleeping. Those things that maybe for other people is not happening, but for me, I'm not sleeping as I should be sleeping. I woke up every day. I used to wake up every day to run, and now I can't. So fortunately, we have a sponsor of treadmills, so I have one, and I have also a Remo machine in my house. So I try to adapt again to running a treadmill, and I'm happy to do that. But we are doing in a couple, like me and my husband swift the Remo or the treadmill 10 minutes and 10 minutes, things like that, to make the day a little bit more creative and to have fun. But the daily I devote a lot of time to the household. So at the beginning it was so how can I explain? It was so different because I was not used to do so many things in my house. So once I began to be a gardener, and I began to do the garden, and in the night I can't sleep because of my arms and my legs and stuff. And I woke up in the next day, and I told my husband, maybe I'm sick because I have a headache, because one day before it was very, very hot.
Yeah.
And I can't stand my legs, and I can't stand my hands. And he said, remember that yesterday we just spent 4 hours doing the garden. So I said, okay, yes, you're right. So things like that psychologically affects you in some way. But the things that keep me up is running. I have to run in the day, because if not, I can get crazy.
Yeah, so running on the treadmill now rather than running outside. And you were saying, like, even groceries, you only go out every 2 weeks to do your grocery shopping. So you're no opportunities to go outdoors. And that must be pretty challenging for you. Yeah.
Yes, it's pretty challenging. We are having the quarantine very strict. So we turn, and my husband goes once, and then I go others. But it is, I really to be wearing the mask and the glasses and my clothes and the gloves, and it is this is real. But then you get used to that. At the beginning, I was wearing my glasses and wearing my mask, and I couldn't be able to see. So I say, how am I going to pick the things, because I can't see? But then you get used to it, and then you buy another kind of mask and stuff. And so I have seen some runners using the box in the supermarket. So I'm saying, maybe I will use that. You try to experiment some things for going out, but the thing is that you have to be very positive and go out without thinking that the thing exists. Because if not, once I was wearing my mask in the supermarket and it broke, and I was in the middle of the line, and I say, oh no, I can't put it again. So I just leave it like that. Some things happen, and you have to be like very, very, very positive and careful also, because one mistake that you can make could take your life. So I try to be very, very positive and do the things right.
Yeah, and talking about positive, you do amazing positive work through AIMS as vice president. You're on the Women's Commission, and I guess you're doing that role remotely. I was just talking, and a couple of weeks ago, I interviewed Paco for the show, and we were supposed to be in Batumi, Georgia, for the annual AIMS Congress, and I guess now you're just in contact with your different members all over the world. How's that and you're still involved in the marathon as well? So how do you manage that in between your gardening and your exercise and so on? How are you finding that?
It's nice, because I think that I'm getting concentrated better now that I'm locked down. I don't know how, but I get concentrated very, very fast. And we are working, doing home office, and we have the meetings. Now technology is everything for us. I can imagine 20 years ago connecting with the board or organizing something, or I don't know, working. I can imagine the life without technology. And the technology had helped us to be updating our work. And now in my role in AIMS, I have the social area. So we organize races in unfavored areas. So for this year, everything was canceled. The name of the program is AIM Children Series. So we organize races in different countries. And but now this year was going to be Morocco and Peru. So we couldn't organize them, and they are canceled for the moment. So that is very hard for us because those races means a lot for AIMS. This is our social face and our social contribution. So the plans are being reinvented for the moment, and the meetings with my colleagues are being by the computer. And also the Women's Commission. This was recently founded, and it was founded 1 year ago. And we had a lot of plans for this year, and also we had to cancel those plans because most of the things were for gathering people outside. So now we are also working on that. And one of our main objectives of the Women's Commission is to attract more women to the sport of running, to increase the numbers of women running in the world. So our plans are keep going in some things that we can make for immediate time. And for the future, we have also been constructing our platform. We already have our website. We are doing a lot of things around the Women's Commission. And I think that for 2021, we will be ready with a lot of things. And I hope we can be able to do all the things that we want to do outside.
Wonderful. And so, you know, quite a big leadership role in terms of leading the Women's Commission and making that happen. I mean, I'm seeing so much great leadership come out of these times. Is there something from a leadership perspective that inspires you? Do you have a leader that's played a huge role in your life, or someone that you look up to who's taught you great leadership? And if there's any particular tip that you might give to the listeners from a leadership perspective?
I cannot tell you a name, but I can tell you what inspires me every day in my life. And even when I'm driving, the runners, it doesn't have any name, it's just general, the runners. I see the runners, one runner running outside in the past, and I get inspired with everything they do. So that makes me to think how to do the plans with the AIMS and all the things, even with my life. The runners are very important piece in the society, in our communities, because of all the values that the runners represent in our lives. All the things that they do to finish a race can be applied in our daily life. Strength, solidarity, a lot of things that you can see in a runner, you can use it for your daily life. So if I can tell you now what is inspiring me, I can tell you runners, even if I don't see them running, because you just go on Twitter and you can read what they are writing, and I feel and I see that they are facing the pandemic without doing what they most love in the world, and they are not running. So they are keeping strong to be holding on and contributing in their areas, and they are saying all their feelings, what they feel like not running. And also now I'm being tracking all the activities with Paco in Spain, so and in Italy with Alessandra, one of my friends in the Women's Commission. So we speak a lot, and I see how I see hope in them, and through them, because I have seen that they begin to do their new life, how they're adapting to, for example, Paco just ran 1 week ago, some days ago, and he just was telling me how badly he was missing to feel the air in his face. He says he was locked down also more than 2 months, something like that. So through them, I am also getting inspired. And also, I see hope in them. So someday I will be able to do what they are doing. So I think that this pandemic make us closer to the ones that we love, closer to our friends. You receive some calls that you say, I have not seen you in years, but they're just calling you because they were looking at their phone, so, or pictures that you took in the past and you saw it on Facebook or something like that. So I think that the bonds are getting stronger, and those kind of things are even we learn how to miss. Maybe you miss someone, but not so badly. Now I miss to hug my father or my mother.
Yeah.
That those kind of things that maybe you have them that for granted, and now you see how badly you see in some details that your life is on that, and things like that are taken from the pandemic.
Yeah, and hopefully it won't be too long before you're at that finish line again, putting medals over people's necks and hugging people as they cross the finish line. Marta, it's been wonderful catching up with you. Thank you for making the time, and look forward to seeing you soon somewhere. My guess is the reality is maybe going to be next year before we catch up again, but it's been wonderful to see you again, and thanks so much for making the time. And hopefully it's not long before you're outside of the lockdown in Mexico and you're out running again in the streets. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care.